We are in middle of Torah Yud Zayin and Likutey Moharan, called VaYehi Merikim Sakehem. VaYehi Merikim. And so Rabbi Nachman is explaining to us in this Torah how we may merit to develop and to receive the experience of Hashem through love and the experience of Hashem through fear. And we spoke about the importance of combining these two, what's called in the Zohar, Bidchilu Urechimu, Urechimu Udechilu. We must combine these two aspects. And Rabbi Nachman says that we receive the experience of Hashem through Dechilu and Rechimu, through fear and through love. We receive this and we develop this through the tzaddik, through our connection to the tzaddik. And he's going to explain how. But we receive this light, this experience of Hashem, of Yira and Ava, fear and love of Hashem, through the tzaddik. And how does that work? What's the mechanism behind it? And so Rabbi Nachman gave us a formula of how this works. And Rabbi Nachman teaches us that the tzaddik is seeking to bring to awareness, to reveal the purpose that Hashem has in all creation. What does that mean, the purpose that Hashem has in all creation? Rabbi Nachman calls it the ratzon of Hashem for creation of the world, for the creation of the universe. The ratzon of Hashem, the galot haritzanot, he calls it, to reveal the ratzon of Hashem, the ritzonot of Hashem. So there's a ratzon, a general ratzon, right? The head of the category of the ratzon of Hashem, the initial intention, the general intention that Hashem has, the purpose that Hashem has for all of existence, for all of the universe, why Hashem created the world in general. And then there are all the subcategories of ritzonot, right? The specific fulfillment of that main purpose, that specific fulfillment, how that main purpose is met specifically through each and every detail in the world, in the universe. Okay, so that's the ratzon of Hashem in general, and all the ritzonot, how that ratzon is met specifically. There's a specific ratzon, a subcategory of ratzon that is met through every detail, through every specific point in the world. And Rabbi Nachman says that the tzaddik seeks to bring this to awareness, to reveal this. And when the tzaddik reveals this, so that is called the coronation of the king. That's called the revelation of the kingship of the king. Because before Hashem created the world, yes, obviously Hashem is king, but he's not really called king until there is a world that he is the king upon, until there are people and there are subjects in his kingdom. This is what's called en melech belo am. There's no king without a nation. And so the nation makes the king a king. As much as the king makes the subjects one, to be called under his name in his kingdom, that kingdom of those people, of those individuals, make the king the king. He is called the king because he's a king of those people. And so before the world is created, and before there is a world, before there is a universe, Hashem is not really called king, even though he's king unconditionally and indefinitely and nothing to do with us. But it's not really revealed without a nation that can be called the nation of this king, and he's the king upon that nation. And so when the tzaddik reveals the purpose that Hashem has for creating the world, for creating the universe, for creating every individual person, place, and thing in this world, when that's revealed, so that reveals the kingship of the king. Because when that purpose is revealed, and there is a reason for the existence of everything, and the reason for existence of everything that is sufficient, is enough to kind of reveal, kind of renew, and kind of bring to light the existence of that thing. And so now, through the revelation that the tzaddik reveals the reason and the purpose that Hashem has for everything, for creating everything, everything is brought into existence. Just by revealing the purpose for that thing, the tachlit, then that thing is brought into existence. If it seems to have been existing beforehand, that is side issue, because really something can exist, but it's not really existing. It's not really connected to its purpose until the tzaddik reveals that purpose that that thing was created for, that purpose that Hashem has, that intention that Hashem has in creating that thing. And so when the tzaddik reveals that purpose and that intention that Hashem has for everything, then everything really comes to life and everything is really now being created okay? Because it's all being connected to its purpose, to its tachlit. And so when that happens, everything in the world is now coming into existence, okay, into a greater, deeper level of existence, into a connected existence, connected to the intention, to its purpose. And so when that happens, so there is a nation of the king. The nation of the king is revealed, is coming into existence. And so in the same way, the kingship of the king is revealed. And that's the coronation of the king. The day of the coronation of the king, when the kingship of the king is revealed, on that day, there are two aspects that also are experienced and that are kind of like the side effects of that revelation of the kingship of the king. What are those two aspects? First of all, the king shows himself as brought and celebrated in front of the whole nation, in front of the whole country, in front of the whole world, and he's wearing his royal clothing, and he's surrounded by his special guards and the chariot and the trumpets and all that. All that celebration and all of that expression, increased expression of the kingship of the king causes a certain awe to fall upon everyone of the royalty of that king, of how awesome and how powerful the king is. And so there's this aspect of Yira that's revealed on that day, and when the kingship of the king is revealed, the coronation of the king. And there's also the aspect of Ahava, the aspect of love. Why? Because on the day that the king is given his kingship, the day that his kingship is revealed and expressed and celebrated, on that day the king welcomes everyone, all of his subjects, and he shows his love to each one of them and his attention. He gives his attention to each one of them, and anyone that has any request can come and ask the king, and whatever he needs, whatever he wants, the king will give it to him on that day. This is the tradition that we know throughout history by the kings of this world. This is what they would do. And so metaphorically, Rabbi Nachman teaches us that in the same way, when the kingship of Hashem is revealed, as the tzaddik reveals the kingship of the Hashem, and how does he do that? By revealing the purpose that Hashem has in each subject, in every part of the world. And so when there's a nation, when there's an Am, then there's a Melech, there's a king, and so that's the coronation of the king. And when that's revealed, then the fear aspect, the awe of the king falls upon all of his subjects. And at the same time, also, the love of the king is revealed, the love that he has for each one of his subjects, the ratzon, the agreement that he shows, that he is that he loves and he cares for each one of his subjects and what their needs are. And so Rabbi Nachman says that now that we know this, right, now that we know this part of the equation, that we know that in this formula, through the revelation of the kingship of the king, through the revelation of the ritzonot, there is the fear and the love that are revealed. How does the tzaddik reveal the purpose that the king has in every part of existence, in every part of the world? The tzaddik reveals it by revealing the pride that Hashem prides himself with every individual in the Jewish people. Because Israel in whom I pride myself. The name of Israel is a name that means Hashem is priding himself in this nation. Hashem reveals tremendous enjoyment, tremendous honor, the significance of Hashem is revealed through this nation. Without Am Yisrael, Hashem's significance, Hashem's infinite significance, infinite power is Bashamayim Ma'al, is not really revealed, it's not really expressed, it's not really experienced until Am Yisrael are created. And that's why Hashem created the world, so that he can have this nation that comes and brings to expression, brings to revelation, brings to experience the greatness of Hashem. How awesome Hashem is, Hashem's significance, Hashem's glory, Hashem's splendor, the tiferet of Hashem, the pride of Hashem, the pride and the joy of God, the pride and the joy of Hashem is Am Yisrael, Yisrael Asher b'chayit ba'ar. And so when the tzaddik reveals this, so then that is the central point of focus, keviyachol, so to speak, for Hashem. That pride that Hashem reveals from each one of us, each individual in the nation of Israel, in the Jewish people, That is the central focus that Hashem, for which Hashem created the whole world and everything in the world. And so in the Jewish people, there are many individual people. Each individual in the Jewish people has individual parts of their physical self, of their spiritual self, their emotional self, their psychological self, their relationships with other people, their speech, their words, their actions, their thoughts, their movements, their senses, what they're sensing, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and every moment, throughout every moment of their life. And each one of these details in each one of these individuals in the nation, in the Jewish people, is the source, it's the intention, it's the source of the intention that Hashem had, the purpose that Hashem has in creating a certain part in this world, in this universe, in the animal kingdom, in the plant life, in the inanimate objects, whatever it is, in all of the different parts that make up the universe. And so the tzaddik finds that, and the tzaddik reveals that. Okay. And so Rabbi Nachman explains to us that anyone in Am Yisrael, even the sinners in the Jewish people, in the Gemara, they're called Jewish sinners. They're called Posh'ei Yisrael. And so Rabbi Nachman says that the way that the Gemara calls the sinners of the Jewish people, those people that don't follow Torah and mitzvot, they call them Jewish sinners. That implies to us a very, very important lesson, says Rabbi Nachman. It implies to us that a sinner, even though he's not following the Torah and mitzvot, he's still called a Yisrael. He's still called a Jew. And as long as he's still called a Jew, there is still a level of pride that Hashem prides himself with this person. And so let's explain this a little more, because someone might say, it seems to mean that it doesn't matter whether a Jewish person is following the Torah and mitzvot or not, Hashem still prides himself in that person, and there's no difference in the pride that Hashem prides himself in this person if he's sinning or if he's fulfilling the Torah and the mitzvah. And so let's explain that a little bit more. And the answer is that there is a difference. The answer is that every Jew, every one of us, created in this world, we are made up of two parts. We are made up of our Jewish soul, okay, and our Jewish soul is one of the holiest things in all of the universe. Okay, even the angels, even the malachim, do not come near the holiness of the smallest Jewish soul. Okay, so a Jewish soul is one of the holiest things that comes from the highest of the highest worlds, the highest of the highest levels in the spiritual realm. And the other aspect that we are made of is the body. And the body is made up of physicality, it's physical, it's made up of animal tendencies, animal urges and desires and characteristics, and it's limited. And this is called, Hashem created us with this combination of the neshama that comes from the highest place and the body. The body of man comes from the lowest place. The body of man was created after all of the animals and all of the plant life and all the other parts of the world were already created. Okay, on the sixth day, the body of man was created on the sixth day after everything else was created. And the soul of man was taken from the place that is before all of creation. The soul of the Jew is taken from the place that's before all of creation. And so we are a combination of the beginning together with the end of the end. And everything that is in between, all of these worlds in between the top and the first point and the highest place of all of the worlds, all the way from there to the end of all of creation of this physical world, because the body comes from this bottom, from the end of everything, all of that is created in this combination, in this kind of partnership between the neshama and the guf, between the body and the soul that we see in every individual in the Jewish people. And the reason for that is, as is brought in Nefesh HaChaim, Rabbi Chaim Volozhner, is because through this combination, specifically that includes everything in the whole universe, from the highest place in the spiritual to the lowest place in the physical, is all affected and it's all connected to us. We have the keys of the whole universe in our hands. And the way we act, and the way we speak, and the way we think, and the way we use our consciousness affects changes in the whole universe, we have the ability to elevate everything, to lift everything up, to bring more godliness to be experienced and revealed throughout all of these levels, included that we are connected to, that are connected to us, that are dependent on us, or the opposite, or we have also the ability by choosing in the wrong way to cause everything to fall down. But it is the Jewish soul, which is part of Hashem, which is in this world, and it's bringing a revelation to Hashem's light in this world, and it's accepting, it is in this darkness of this world, in the physicality of this world, accepting Hashem as a king. That is fulfilling Hashem's purpose for the world. That's fulfilling Hashem's intention for the world, and that's the greatest source of pride for Hashem. Now, a Jewish soul, just by being, just by existing, its existence in itself, the fact that it exists in this physical world, and it's a representation, it's a reminder, whether it likes, whether it wants, whether it is conscious of it or not, the Jewish soul, in whichever body it is found, in whichever environment it is found, in whatever darkest hole it is found, even if it's not fulfilling any of the Torah and mitzvah, even if it's sinning and doing things that are completely the opposite of Hashem's will, and even if it's completely, unfortunately, lost among the nations, the fact that it exists, that energy is a representation, it's a kind of like a signal, a beacon of Hashem in this world. And it being a signal and a representation of Hashem in this world means that just by it being there, wherever it is, even if it's not fulfilling the Torah and the mitzvah, it's bringing pride to Hashem, because Hashem has a subject. That Jewish soul is one of Hashem's subjects. And so it reveals Hashem as being the king. Whether it's a subject that's actually fulfilling the will of the king or not, it's still a subject. It has the passport of that kingdom of Hashem. Okay, it carries that passport. It carries that identity, whether it is conscious of it or not. Okay, now, obviously, in every level of fulfilling Torah and mitzvot that every Jewish individual has, if one time it says that Jewish soul says a Kriyat Shema, and one time that Jewish soul puts on tefillin, puts on tzitzit, so it keeps a Shabbat, says a bracha, it speaks to Hashem, or comes to Eretz Yisrael, comes to the Kotel, goes to a tzaddik, gives a coin to tzedakah. Every detail, every point of fulfilling Torah and mitzvot is another increment, another level of accepting Hashem as king. Okay? It's adding to the quality of that person, of that subject being a greater subject, having the name of Hashem upon him in a greater way. Having the identity of a subject of the kingdom of Hashem be increased, be expressed, be revealed in a greater way. And so every added point, every added increment of fulfilling Torah and mitzvot that every Jewish individual has adds to the pride that Hashem has in creating the world. And so when the tzaddik reveals this pride that Hashem has with every yid, that's the work of the tzaddik, and it's something that we saw by the Baal Shem Tov and by Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichov and by Rabbi Nachman as well, where they would even when it was a Jew that was not fulfilling Torah and mitzvah, not Shomer Shabbat, but the tzaddik would always look to find some aspect in this yid where you see the expression of that Jewish soul. Where's the Pintele Yid? Okay, where's that point of that Jewish soul being expressed somehow? There must be some place, some part of him, some part of his personality, something that he does either day to day or something that he does once a year or even once in his lifetime, that you could see that Jewish soul shining through. And when the tzaddik finds that, that spark. So you blow air on that spark. You make the fire bigger, and you give energy just with your awareness, with the tzaddik's awareness. We can do this as well. Rabbi Nachman teaches us to look at everyone in this way. We, with our consciousness, our awareness, our focus on that spark, we bring that spark, we give it power, and we give power to that spark to shine through and to overcome all the challenges and all of the blocks, all of the ashes that are covering up the spark and not allowing the spark to turn into a flame. We want to turn that flame. We want to burn that flame. We want that flame to shine through and become a torch of light, shining and radiating its light throughout the whole world, throughout the whole universe. And Rabbi Nachman has a whole Torah in Likutei Moharan, in the second part of Likutei Moharan, where he says that this is the job of the tzaddik, where the tzaddik blows on the spark of the Pintel Yid, in every Jew, the spark of Yiddishkeit, of that holy soul, of that godliness in every Yid, to help all of the ashes and that to fall away, so that that spark can turn into a flame, and it can shine up and overcome all the challenges and all the blocks, and feel the excitement and the passion in its connection to Hashem. And so that's what the tzaddik is doing here with this avoda, with putting their focus and their awareness and bringing to reveal the pride that Hashem prides himself with every Yid. By doing so, he reveals the ratzon, the desire and the intention and the purpose that Hashem has for the whole world and all creation and all the subjects. And by doing so then that's called the celebration of the kingship of the king. And on the day of that celebration, there's the awe of the king that's revealed and the love of the king that's revealed. And so let's see if we can continue inside a little bit. So Rabbi Nachman says, וזה בחינת כי תפארת עוזמו אתה וברצונך תרום קרננו. הפסוק in Tehillim, פרק פ"ט, in Tehillim 89, chapter 89, pasuk 18, that it says, כי תפארת עוזמו אתה, Hashem, you are the splendor of their power, of their might. Okay, uzo is like uzamo, their might. וברצונך תרום קרננו. And with your will, our level, our stature, our importance will be elevated. Tiferet uzamo, the splendor of their might, ze bechinat hayirah. That's the aspect of the awe, the fear. Shenitgale al yedei galut hitparut. Remember we said earlier, the Gemara, Rabbi Nachman brought the Gemara, minayin shetfilin hem oz leYisrael. How do we know that tefillin are the might of the Jewish people? And the might is the aspect of fear, because it says that the pasuk, the Gemara brings the pasuk, that the name of Hashem, when the nations see the name of Hashem upon you, they will fear you. And that is the expression, that's the fulfillment of this pasuk of uzo. Minayin shetfilin hem oz leYisrael. The tefillin is the oz, the might is the awe. And tiferet uzamo, says Rabbi Nachman, is the splendor of their might. It's the aspect of fear that's revealed when we reveal Hashem's splendor, when we reveal Hashem's pride. Ki ozu bechinat yirah kanal. Oz is the might, is the aspect of fear, like we mentioned earlier. V'azai birtzonecha tarum karnenu, kemegale ritzono umeromem karnam shekol echad ve'echad kanal, שעל ידי זה התגלות האהבה כנ"ל, נמצא שהצדיק מגלה היראה והאהבה. And so, through the revelation of that awe that is connected to the pride that Hashem prides himself with each one of Am Yisrael, through that, we have the revelation of the ratzon, the intention and the purpose that Hashem has for creating the world, and that brings about the revelation of Hashem's love. And so the way Rabbi Nachman is explaining it here in this paragraph is that we said earlier that the Tiferet and the Ratzon of Hashem are connected, and they're paralleling each other and they're dependent on each other. Meaning that when the tzaddik reveals the pride that Hashem prides himself with the Jewish people and each individual in the Jewish people, that brings to a revelation of the Ratzon of Hashem, the intention and the purpose that Hashem has for creating the world and everything in it. And we said that brings to the revelation of the kingship, the celebration of the kingship, which brings to revelation of the awe of the king and the fear of the awe of the king and the love of the king. So now the way Rabbi Nachman is explained in this paragraph here, and this is how Rabbi Nachman many times throughout the Torah, as the Torah progresses, he adds clarity and things seem to shift. Things seem to shift with every level of clarity that he adds to it. And that's so important. It's important to understand in every place in the Torahs of Rabbi Nachman, in this line, in this paragraph, what is Rabbi Nachman saying? Even though maybe afterwards he says it a little bit differently, but in this place, how is he saying it? So in this place, in this paragraph, Rabbi Nachman sounds like he's saying that the Tiferet, revealing the pride that Hashem has in each one of Am Yisrael, is what causes the awe of the king to be revealed. In the same way as we said that when the tefillin are revealed, through the tefillin, so then the nations of the world fear us. So that's the pride. Connected to the pride is the revelation of the fear, the awe of the king. When the pride of the king is revealed, so then the awe of the king is revealed. And that leads to revealing the purpose that the king has, that Hashem has in creating the world. And when the ratzon of the king, the purpose that the king has in creating the world is revealed, so then the love of the king is revealed. And so these two things, Tiferet and the Ratzon, the pride of the king and the intention, the purpose that the king has for creating the world, lead to revealing the fear, the awe of the king, and the love of the king. So says Rabbi Nachman, so we see from here, this is how the tzaddik reveals the fear and the love of Hashem. And so that's the end of Ot Aleph in this Torah, and we'll see Bezrat Hashem Ot Bet in the next year.